Hello literature lovers! Welcome back to the third and final part of this video series, where I combine a story set in 1938 with 21st century technology. What do you think Lovecraft would have thought of AIs? Given that he was generally terrified by anything unfamiliar and unknowable, I don't expect his thoughts to be very positive. Anyway, let's get started with the story. I need not chronicle the events of the fortnight that followed. With me they formed a constant and enervating struggle between the mad longing to return to the cryptic tree of dreams and freedom, and the frenzied dread of that self-same thing, and all connected with it. That I did not return is perhaps less a matter of my own will than a matter of pure chance. Meanwhile, I knew that Tunis was desperately active in some investigation of the strange nature. Something which included a mysterious motor trip and a return on the circumstance of the greatest secrecy. By hints over the telephone, I was made to understand that he had somewhere borrowed the obscure and primal object mentioned in the ancient volume as the gem, and that he was busy devising a means of applying it to the photographs I had left him with. He spoke fragmentarily of refraction, polarization, and unknown angles of space and time, and indicated that he was building a kind of box or camera obscura for the study of the curious snapshots with the gem's aid. It was on the 16th day that I received the startling message from the hospital in Croydon. Tunis was there and wanted to see me at once. He had suffered some odd sort of seizure, being found prone and unconscious by friends who found their way into his house after hearing certain cries of mortal agony and fear. Though still weak and helpless, he had now regained his sense, and seemed frantic to tell me something and have me perform a certain important duty. This much the hospital informed me over the wire, and within half an hour I was at my friend's bedside, marvelling at the inroads which worry and tension had made on his features in so brief a time. His first act was to move away the nurses in order to speak in utter confidence. "Single! I saw it!" His voice was strained and husky. "You must destroy them all. Those pictures. I sent it back by seeing it, but the pictures had better go. That tree will never be seen on that hill again. At least, I hope not, till thousands of eons bring back the year of the black goat. You are safe now. Mankind is safe." He paused, breathing heavily, and continued. "Take the gem out of the apparatus and put it in the safe. You know the combination. It must go back where it came from, for there's a time where it may be needed to save the world. They won't let me leave here yet, but I can rest if I know it's safe. Don't look through the box as it is. It would fix you as it has fixed me. And burn those damn photographs, the one in the box and the others." But Tunis was exhausted now, and the nurses advanced and motioned me away as he leaned back and closed his eyes. In another half hour I was at his house and looking curiously at the long black box on the library table beside the overturned chair. Scattered papers blew about in a breeze from the open window, and close to the box I recognized with a queer sensation the envelope of pictures I had taken. It required only a moment for me to examine the box and attach at one end my earliest picture of the tree, and at the other end a strange bit of amber-colored crystal, cut in devious angles, impossible to classify. The touch of the glass fragment seemed curiously warm and electric, and I could scarcely bear to put it out of sight in Tunis's wall safe. The snapshot I handled with a disconcerting mixture of emotions. Even after I had replaced it in the envelope with the rest, I had a morbid longing to save it and gloat over it and rush out and up the hill towards its original. Peculiar line arrangements sprang off its details to assault and puzzle my memory. Pictures behind pictures, secrets lurking in half-familiar shapes. But a sane or contrary instinct, operating at the same time, gave me the vigor and avidity of unplaceable fear as I hastily kindled a fire in the grate and watched the problematic envelope burn to ashes. I felt that the earth had been purged of a horror on whose brink I had trembled, and which was none the less monstrous because I did not know what it was. Of the source of Tunis's terrific shock I could form no coherent guess, nor did I dare to think too closely about it. It is notable that I did not at any time have the least impulse to look through the box before removing the gem and photograph. What was shown in the picture by the antique crystal's lens or prism-like powers was not, I felt curiously certain, anything that a normal brain ought to be called upon to face. Whatever it was, I had myself been close to it, had been completely under the spell of its allurement, as it brooded on that remote hill in the form of a tree and an unfamiliar landscape, and I did not wish to know what I had so narrowly escaped. Would that my ignorance might have been complete! I could sleep better at night. As it was, my eye was arrested before I left the room by the pile of scattered papers rustling on the table beside the black box. All but one were blank, but that one bore a crude drawing in pencil. Suddenly recalling what Tunis had once said about sketching the horror revealed by the gem, I strove to turn away, but sheer curiosity defeated my sane design. Looking again almost furtively, I observed the nervous haste of the stroke and the unfinished edge left by the sketcher's terrified seizure. Then, in a burst of perverse boldness, I looked squarely at the dark and forbidden design, and fell in a faint. I shall never describe fully what I saw. After a time, I regained my consciousness, thrusted the sheet into the dying fire, and staggered out through the street towards my home. I thanked God that I had not looked through the crystal at the photograph, and prayed fervently that I might forget the drawing's terrible hint of what Tunis had beheld. Since then, I have never been quite the same. Even the fairest of scenes have seemed to hold some vague, ambiguous hint of the nameless blasphemies which may underlie them and form their masquerading essence. And yet the sketch was so slight, so little indicative of all that Tunis, to judge from his guarded accounts later on, must have discerned. Only a few basic elements of the landscape were in the thing. For the most part, a cloudy, exotic-looking vapor dominated the view. Every object that might have been familiar was seen to be part of something vague and unknown and altogether unterrestrial, something infinitely vaster than any human eye could grasp, and infinitely alien, monstrous and hideous as guessed from the fragment within range. Where I had, in the landscape itself, seen the twisted half-sentient tree, there was here visible only a gnarled, terrible hand, or talon with fingers or feelers, shockingly distended and evidently groping towards something on the ground or in the spectator's direction. And squarely below the writhing, bloated digits, I thought I saw an outline in the grass where a man had lain, but the sketch was hasty, and I could not be sure. And that concludes the story of the tree on the hill. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you liked it, don't forget to comment, like and subscribe. As a small channel, I would also be very interested to know how you found this video. Anyway, I hope to see you in the next one.